to President Biden in Europe for a NATO summit. He's also meeting with King Charles for the first time since the monarch was crowned in May. Elizabeth Schulze is traveling with the president in London. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, George. This is a major moment for President Biden as he makes a push among European allies, and it comes as a pivotal time for the NATO alliance amid a fierce debate over whether Ukraine should become a member.
This morning, President Biden kicking off a three-country trip to Europe, meeting with UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, as he seeks to shore up support for Ukraine ahead of a critical NATO summit.
Couldn't be meeting with a closer friend and a greater ally.
The president also meeting with King Charles for the first time since the monarch was crowned in May, a symbolic visit to build their personal relationship and highlight the fight against climate change. At the heart of Biden's trip is the two-day NATO summit in Lithuania, where allies are divided over if Ukraine should become a member of the alliance. The president insists Ukraine is not yet ready to join while it's at war with Russia.
I don't think there is unanimity in NATO about whether or not to bring Ukraine into the NATO family now, at this moment, in the middle of a war.
At the NATO summit, the president will now have to defend his decision to send cluster munitions to Ukraine amid growing criticism from allies like Canada, Germany, and Spain. Banned in more than 120 countries, cluster munitions scatter mid-flight, raining down smaller explosives across a wide area and posing a deadly risk to civilians. Ukraine says it needs the help now as its counteroffensive grinds on in the east. The White House insists cluster munitions will aid in the fight, with ammunition running low.
We are trying to ramp up our production of the kind of artillery shells that they're using most. But that production rate is still not where we want it to be. So we're going to send these additional artillery shells that have cluster bomblets in them to help bridge the gap as we ramp up production.
Another big question at the NATO summit is if there will be an agreement on Sweden joining the alliance. That has been held up by Turkey and Hungary, but President Biden is pushing hard for a deal this week. George.
And last week we saw American drones harassed by Russian aircraft over Syria. Now we're learning from the United States they say one of those drones killed an ISIS leader.
That's right, George. The Defense Department says U.S. drones took out an ISIS leader as he was riding a motorcycle in Syria Friday night. This was just hours before when U.S. officials say that Russian aircraft had been harassing those same drones. And it was just the latest example of what the U.S. is calling unsafe and unprofessional behavior of Russian fighter jets harassing American drones. George.
Elizabeth Schulze, thanks. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.